Hey everyone, this is Daryl from Rokin.
Hey, and I'm Audrey from Rokin.
Let's go over, we've got some topics today, and I hear you got some questions for me, so.
Yeah, let's kick it off. So how much is a good spend for a 510 battery?
You know, my point is here at Rokin is we've made sure that for a good 510 thread battery, you don't have to spend any more than $40. To me, that's about it because we have the best battery, the best features, and everything for $40. And any below that, honestly, is a matter of just reducing the amount of features or functions that you want with the battery, but still getting a great quality product.
So what are you really paying for when you go cheap versus premium?
Well, what you're paying for is a good quality battery cell, right? So it's going to be a good quality battery cell inside there that makes sure it can recharge hundreds of times. You're also getting a microchip that is in there that is a good quality microchip that makes sure that you get really good hits or temperature control, precision temperature control. So it has a little bit to do with the functions and some to do with the quality, right? So the quality is over time is to me as a cheap battery is just not financially good viable because the chances are a cheap battery, you're going to go through maybe 5, 6 of those before you go through one good battery. And the one good battery isn't going to be 5, 6 times more than the cheap battery. It might be twice as much. You might have a cheap battery is $5 and you might find a battery that's $10 and it lasts 10 times longer than that $5 battery. And there's the other thing is I wouldn't waste getting cheap batteries, especially when the carts today are expensive.
Yeah, why put something that expensive in something
Correct.
that's a fraction of the cost?
Exactly. You want to make sure you're spending a lot for your material. So why not spend a decent amount on a battery and make sure you get the best experience you can get out of that cart? Because that cart certainly costs enough.
So are expensive batteries worth the money?
Yes, they are. Expensive batteries are worth the money simply because they simply last longer than cheap batteries. Cheap batteries tend to die out really quick. We've seen a lot of batteries today that recharge 3, 4 times and they're done. But a good battery should be able to be recharged hundreds of times. So in my opinion, yes, a more expensive battery is definitely worth it.
So sometimes on the shelves, you'll see the same 510 stick battery. What are some of the differences that could be between the batteries, even though they're the same price or the same look?
Well, it could be, what are their different charging ports, right? Is it micro USB-C or is it still a micro USB port? Does it require an external charger or does the battery have, the plug where it can plug right into it? Maybe it has one temperature setting, maybe it has 3, maybe it has 4. Some have a preheat control or not. So it has a lot to do with the amount of functions that battery has. And then when it comes down to it is also the quality of the battery, quality of the cell of the battery, and the quality of the microchip. And you're not cracking these things open in the store. So that really comes down to the reputation of the brand and the warranties that they offer. The better the warranty the manufacturer offers, obviously, the more confidence they have in their products.
So what is the long-term cost associated with owning a vape pen?
Well, I'd say the long-term costs are very minimal, right? You might need a Q-tip. You might need some isopropylene alcohol to clean it. And depending on whether it comes with a charging cable or not, you might need a cable. It might use the same cable as your phone then, so you're pretty much in luck. Most electronics today are all going to micro USB-C, so the vape pens all use the same charging connection as anything else today. The only thing you really have to be careful with is you don't want to ever use a fast charger for a vape pen. So if it says it's a fast charger used for a phone or a laptop, you don't want to use that for your vape pen. But other than that, the true cost is if you would take your battery and say, it cost me $20 and I recharged it, 200 times, then, you think about each use is maybe about 10 cents. So compared to a cheap battery, they may be about $5, but it only gets recharged 3 times. So therefore, it was like $1.60 something per charge. So that's how we see the better battery might actually be less over time.
So, Daryl, what do you suggest? A disposable or reusable vape device? What do you think's better?
I mean, personally, I like a reusable vape device. It allows me to be a little bit more environmentally conscious, right? I'm not throwing away a lithium-ion battery all the time in the trash every single time I use. So I do prefer myself to use a reusable vape pen. Maybe that's just me. But I think in over time, I might spend a little bit more for the battery at time than the disposable. But the disposable vape pens are always a little bit more expensive than the cart. So every single time I'm buying a cart, I'm probably saving $5 to $10 compared to that disposable, right? So over 2 or 3 carts, I'm coming up ahead of when I was buying 2 or 3 disposables. It's actually going to cover the cost of my battery. And as I'm going further down the road, continuously using more carts, then I'm actually starting to save money compared to the disposable vapes.
So what am I looking at for maintaining a wax pen?
For maintaining a wax pen, really the cost is your atomizer or maybe your bubbler if it comes with a bubbler. These things can get dirty over time and they do need to be replaced. So all the manufacturers today, we all sell replacement parts for those types of our pens. So whenever you're using them, it also depends on how much, how dirty that resin is that we're using to how fast those atomizers get dirty enough. You can kind of tell over time when the taste starts to change in a negative way and you start to do it. Or maybe your bubbler is so cloudy and so dirty, you're worried that it's not good anymore. So these are the 2 cost factors that you have to think about is like your replacement atomizer, a bubbler if the device has a bubbler. And you're going to, I always recommend having some of them in reserve because sometimes you can heat these things up and you can burn the element out. So which is actually causing the connection inside the atomizer to actually sever because of the extreme heat.
All right. What ways would you say the digital vape would be worth the money?
Well, I'd say here, what we've developed at Rokin, it's always worth the money because it allows you digital precision temperature control, right? So we're not just allowing you have 4 temp settings, but on Rokin's digital batteries, we go up by 0.1 volt, right? And we have our pillar battery here, which we sell as low as $12.95, right? So we're giving you precision temperature control at a budget price. So in reality to me, there's no reason not to ever go with a digital battery.
So Daryl, what are some things you might sacrifice if you were to go with a cheap battery?
Well, I think one thing you're going to sacrifice is it could be performance. It could be a battery, but because it doesn't have a microchip on the inside that it burns way too hot. And it's going to be the life of the usage of most of the time. So if this battery only recharges 3 times, that's not really a good product. You know what I'm thinking? I don't think you got your money's worth if it did three times and you could have spent twice as much and it would have recharged 100 times. So I think be very careful when it comes to cheap batteries that they're not actually a good deal.